Okay, I'm recording. Awesome. Sorry,
All
Jeff.
right.
Few technical
No problem.
difficulties there. We got here in the end. So, um, everyone, watching, whoever jumps on, some people might jump on as we're going along. So I encourage you to mute out if you do come on. So Jeff Mack, we are going to talk about success and leadership. Jeff Mack is a father, grandfather, husband, and global business owner. Really appreciate you coming on. I know it's late there. I think it's what, 10:30 Provo time,
It is.
or
It
Utah
is.
time. So yeah, let's get right into it. So who is Jeff Mack?
Well, I'm a guy just like you. I've just found this opportunity 30 years ago when I was age 30, and like anybody else, I'd had enough life experience at that point to realize that life is not easy, and there's disappointment, and it's not always what it's cracked up to be. And so, that being the case, I really found myself mentally not being employable. I just couldn't see myself working a job and just doing the 40-year plan that everyone does. And along came New Skin, and I saw the ability to have my own business without having to go through all the great grief and pain of having my own business. New Skin would handle all those things I didn't want to do, and I could go out and just build and do what was necessary. And of course, my vision at the time, I saw the business and I thought, what, this is my chance. At the time, the company was doing about 45 million in sales. I jumped into the business, started working diligently. Over the next 2 years, I saw the company expand to over 500 million. So it 10 times itself. And I was actively working and building and established a team. And of course, since that time, New Skin has expanded from 500 million to 2.5 billion. And I've watched it expand. And, I've been fortunate because I've been able to participate in other foreign markets as they've opened up, as I was able to find some leadership in some of the markets. And the beauty of what we're doing right now, Christian, is the fact that I look at where we sit today, and now the company's sights are set on 10 billion. So, we're going to see this company expand again, but we're just not talking expansion in millions of dollars. We're talking expansion in billions of dollars. And with that being the case, with the fact that New Skin pays back about 50% of what they bring in to the field. So for every wholesale dollar that comes in, half of it is earmarked for commissions to pay back out to the distributor force. We're talking about when we do a $10 billion year, there'll be $5 billion in commissions paid out. And so I think that the big ticket is now. I think that the big opportunity is now. And I really believe 10 years from now, we'll look back and we'll say, man, can you believe that sweet spot from 2.5 to 10 billion? That was unbelievable. And I think that's where we sit. So my past experience, to this point, I've been fortunate to become a $20 million earner. That just basically says I've seen a lot and have been able to execute on certain things that I know work. But I think, honestly, the potential for the future is so great now that those are willing to, sacrifice and do what's necessary in this window. I think the sky is the limit, just because of the growth numbers we're talking about. So, as was different now compared to when I started, there was a lot of questions marked about New Skin. Could they go the distance? Did they have the management team that could do what they did? All those questions are answered now. Here we sit with a company that's the gold standard of the industry, and they're about to go into a hyperspace. And those leaders that are coming on board now have a huge opportunity because a lot of the questions are already answered instead of just having to exercise faith. And more importantly, there's a track record in place with a methodology that has worked before. And so that's where we sit. And so that's kind of been my business experience. Of course, you say, who's Jeff Mack? I'm actually a father and a husband and a grandfather, and that's who I am first.
Yeah.
This is just what I do for fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, the growth within New Skin it's mind-blowing for like 100%. Moving forward, what does success mean to you, or what is success for you?
Well, I think it's interesting if we're talking success within the business. I always ask everyone I'm involved with, do you want to have life on your terms? Because what I found is when I ask that question, what does life look like on your terms? There's different answers. There's different perceptions, different understandings that people have, and so, I mean, it's hard to define that because I look at my last 30 years in this business. I've been doing it that long. I've got tons of single mothers in my business, and their goal is to stay home with their children, but they want to earn enough income with New Skin where they don't have to go into the workforce. And I've seen so many achieve that in this business where they've been able to stay home with their children as single parents and earn enough with New Skin to provide for that. And so that's success, and then I've seen other people that come to the business and they've got a dollar figure in their head that spells out success for them and they've achieved it, And so to me, if you say, what's my definition is, what does it mean when I say life on your terms? What vision do you have in your head? If you achieve that with this, to me, that's success because there's varying perceptions that take place. And I guess for me, it's just the fact that I don't have the wolf at the door financially anymore. And so I'm able to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want. And to me, to be there for the important times in my family's life, to be there for my children and grandchildren when they need me. If my grandson Bo comes over here, say on a Friday or on a Saturday, I can just check out and spend the whole day with them. I don't have anyone to answer to. I don't have to go out there and beat the streets. And to me, that's what it's about. It's being able to execute life the way you see it. It should be, without having pressures that force you to do things you don't want to do.
Awesome. Love that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I realize it means different things to different people, success. Moving ahead, what drives you and your high level of leadership? I mean, this is me seeing you from on calls and, OTG calls mainly. What drives you? Because you, and seeing like you speak at live events, you get so fired up. Where does that fire come from? And, what from me looking from the outside kind of in, I guess you could call it, it's a high level of leadership, what you bring to the table. Where does that come from, do you think?
Well, my motivations changed over time. I mean, obviously, when I first came into the business as a brand new guy, I mean, I was money motivated because I didn't have any money. I was just like, man, I got to do something to go out there and create a life that I thought I could have. And so to me, it was like, okay, I set different benchmarks of income earning to motivate myself. Not that money was anything other than just a benchmark of measurement. And so what I found was I went out there and used that as my motivator. Once I got to a point where there was no debt anymore in my life, then it was a function of just helping grow this business and having impact with those that I brought into it. In other words, it wasn't just about Jeff getting what he came for monetarily. It's a function now of imparting that on others. And as time has gone on, I look at it and I see these benchmarks the company sets at like 10 billion. And I realize, my role has changed. Now I'm more of the guy now holding the torch up saying, hey, you can do this, as a coach and a mentor to others, because, this isn't a job. I mean, a lot of people that have done this for a while find out it's not like a job. This is a way of life. This is a methodology that we embrace on an ongoing basis. And honestly, you'll find the longer you're involved here, the closest people in your life are people that are involved in the business with you, because it's you're spending time together, helping people grow. You're seeing their businesses explode. You're seeing them as people, morph into something greater than when they first came to the table, because that personal growth is really part of it. I mean, every now and then I'll have somebody hit me with the question like, Jeff, when am I going to make money? And my answer is a simple one. It's when you're the person worthy of the money that you seek. See, what I found is you grow into it. And as you become that person, the money finds you. It's not a function of just someone giving you money. it's a function of you, being able to grow into that type of person where it attracts and comes your direction. And it's interesting, once that commitment is made and you do what's necessary to, kind of push through pain or whatever you want to call it, or shyness. I mean, for me, I'm a very laid back person. I don't have to interact a lot with people, and I'm very quiet by nature. I had to step out of that a little bit. And thank goodness Craig Tillotson, who brought me into the business, pushed me that direction. He just flat out said, man, you need to change your persona because you are just way too chill. Nobody's going to buy anything from you because of how low key you are. And so I had to step up and actually push myself to really change a few things. And that's okay. It was for the better. And so the motivation is continual. And, today, one of the things that keep me engaged, I lost my son about 4 years ago, and he was being pursued by professional baseball here in the States. He's one of the top 100 high school players in the nation. He told me one time before he passed away, he said, when I'm done with baseball, I want to do what you do. And I asked him, well, why? Why do you want to do that? And he says, because you give people hope. And I want to give people hope too. So we had plans to build a business with him and go out and do it. And things changed. He's not here physically, but he's with me spiritually. And so I look at it and I have a mission to accomplish here, and he's with me, and I'm going to do my best to be part of that growth and help to get people to where they need to be. And that's been my commitment to my son. So I'm here. It's much bigger to me than just what can I get. I know I'm going to do well going forward. So I now know that there's other people watching me. So I've got to be out there, kind of leading that charge and kind of shining a light on the path for people if I can.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I know you talk about your son a lot, and it's I don't know what the words, I can't really put into words, because I know you talk about him at TEU and events around the world and as well, and he is very much with you every day. Moving into the second last question, I mean, you've created an incredible global business. I mean, you might have covered this already, but how did it all start? Well, I guess, yeah, for people who build already a business around the world, how did it start building it around the world? I don't know how many countries you work in or have business in, I should say. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we're a global business, right? And so we have that capacity to do business in other places. And sometimes people get mistaken. They think like, oh, hey, I'm going to go to Hong Kong and build a business or whatever. And that's not really how it works. First of all, we get ourselves a perception of what it's about. We make a commitment. And really, for me, all I did was realize, you know what? My first mindset was, as I wrote down all the names of people I wanted to expose the business to, if I can get a couple of the guys just on my block, I think I'll be okay. So I'm thinking in terms of who I knew locally. Okay, and that's because it's close proximity, it's easier exposure, all of that. And so I started there in Utah. Like I live in Mapleton now, the city, there's 6,500 residents here, and I'm south of Provo, about 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Salt Lake City's about an hour and a half north, and there's more people there. But by and large, there's not a lot of people in this state. But it's not about where you live. You build that business, you talk to who you talk to, and of course now with technology, we can reach beyond where we live easier. Like right now, we're halfway around the world here. Yeah. But you think that we're neighbors, right? Yeah. And so technology makes the world smaller. And so I just started on a local basis, set some goals, and that first month in the business, I sponsored 18 people into the business part-time. Out of those 18, 6 of them filed their letters of intent. And so I focused on those 6 and immediately started to help them talk to their people to, explain the opportunity and the products. And, lo and behold, as we started to do that, would find someone else, LOI them, would start to drive those lines down. And so what I realized is I have to set the pace for my team. So I sponsored those 18 that first month, started to drive the lines at those 6, sponsored 5 more the next month, and 5 more the next month, and 5 more the next month. And for the first 18 months I was in the business, I sponsored more people first level than I have sponsored into this business ever since. And so in 28 years, I have not sponsored more people first level than I did in the first 18 months. And the reason for that is I set that pace, and what that did for the people I brought on board was it told them that, look, if you're serious about doing this, I'll help you, but I'm not going to drag your weight for you. I got 5 new guys I sponsored this month that I'm going to drive the business with. And if you're not on my face with prospects, I'm driving it with them. And so this sense of urgency had people step up because they needed to want to have the business work for them more than I wanted it to work for them. In other words, if I wanted them to be successful more than they wanted it for themselves, it wouldn't work. And so it caused people to step up and grow. And of course, I just followed the lead of my sponsor, Craig Tillotson, in that as he got me going, he got me to a certain point, and it was basically swim or drown. It was like he wasn't there to hold my hand. He taught me what he knew, helped me drive the lines, and then he stepped back and let it roll. And people stepped up, and I stepped up. And before you know it, 2 years into it, just working diligently, and I focused. This was a front burner item. I didn't watch TV. I didn't spend time doing things that weren't productive. I focused on exposure, involvement, and upgrade. Those are the 3 things that make our business work. We expose the business and the product. We involve people. We sponsor them. And then we upgrade them. The upgrade is simply showing them the compensation plan so they understand it, find out what their goals are. And those that want to make more than $1,000 a month, we commit them to LOI. So we commit those LOIs. Those are the people we focus on to drive the lines through. And so doing that for a period of time, 10 months into the business, I exceeded my goals. I had no more debt. Money wasn't an issue, and I just kept driving it. And here we sit now, 30 years into it, we're, knocking on the door at 20 million. And we're on the verge of going into the biggest growth cycle Nu Skin will go into. And so it's a function of the fact that now I've got people in the business that are better than me. I got people in my business globally. And as we built it here on a local level, so-and-so knew so-and-so in another market. And so next thing you know, and so-and-so knew somebody, in Thailand, so we're into Thailand. And so one thing led to another, and we found ourselves in several markets around the world. And it's just simply asking the right questions. You still there, Christian?
Yeah, still here.
For example, let's say, to give you this example, because I know you're trying to get clarity on how you expand globally. Let's say right now that you and I found out that the country of India would open in 6 months.
Yeah.
All we'd simply do, myself and anyone I'm working with, we just tell them, hey, as we're prospecting and signing people up, ask them simply, hey, as you make your list of contacts that we're going to expose the business to, be thinking about who you might know who's from India. Who do you know that travels to India? Who do you know that's here that's Indian descent? Because we're going to open the market of India, and it's going to be huge. And some of the leaders that establish themselves will end up becoming financially secure. And so as we just ask that question, and as people come on board and make their list, they start, instead of thinking about just, who's my attorney, who's my dry cleaner, blah, 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 that memory jogger. All of a sudden it's like, who do I know in India? Oh, hey, I know this guy. And before you know it, you've got people that have contacts in India, and you've never left your home market. And so I didn't even leave Utah until, I had people in other states, like one distinctly I remember in the Midwest, in South Dakota, wanted me to come out and help him. And I just said, okay, well, look, let's start chipping away on the phone. Get me on the phone with 3-way calls with some of your guys. Now we could do Facebook Lives or whatever, but we would do those calls. And before you knew it, we had LOIs underneath him. He was an executive. And so by the time I flew out to help him, he was an executive with 2 executives under him and about 5 or 6 LOIs under him. And so when I came out to do the meeting, there were 85 people in the room. I laid it on them. They're excited. People started signing up. he had already established himself as a leader. So when I left and went home, the thing didn't die. And that's how it works, you know. And so you can build a business right from where you live by using the technology you have to expose a story. Now it's a little cleaner. If I was recruiting you here today, you just say, hey, I just sent you a link, watch that link, and then we're going to talk. And that is a very duplicatable way to explain the story, you know, point them to a video and follow up, answer the questions, get them signed up. Now we have social media too, or we maybe put a post out there with product to get an attention, get them signed up, and then upgrade them with the comp plan. So the point is, we're out there exposing, bringing them in, and then upgrading them. Doesn't matter if they're in your hometown, if they're somewhere in your own country or outside of it. That's what you do, and you start the ball rolling. And so, you know, it's interesting. Like, several people are going to see this video right now, and who knows how many people will see it by the time it's done. Technology now makes us all more dangerous. We can take our message on a global scale and live where we live. So anyone's dangerous now, no doubt.
Definitely. Awesome. Yeah, great answer. I love that. So I've got one more question, and then you can ask me something if you want to. So one more question. How do you face fears?
Well, fear is very uncomfortable, right? For all of us.
Yep.
The tendency is to back away from it. And what I've come to learn over time, basically from backing away from fear, is the fact that if you move back from fear, then the thing that you fear ends up owning you. You know, it has control over you. And the truth of the matter is, most of the time, fear is an imaginary thing. You know, I mean, you can't put your finger on it. I mean, my question would be, show it to me. Show me fear. Where is it? You can't see it. You can't touch it. It's something that's here in your head. And so what I've learned over time is to do what you feel uncomfortable doing. And after a while, you're not uncomfortable doing it anymore. And then you own it. You know, first time picking up the phone and calling somebody or speaking in front of a group, you know, that was a tough one for me. I'm very reserved and quiet. To stand in front of a group of 50 people was not easy, you know, and the only way to do it was to do it and realize that, hey, I might do a crappy presentation, but you know what? I know more than the people that I'm speaking to in the room. So I've got more advantage on them than them on me, and I'll just do it. And over time, you just got better at it. So the truth is, you know, the fears we might have with this business, push through those, because it's about personal growth. And anyone that's been around us long enough knows that that's probably really what this is. This is a personal growth experience that just happens to have money in it. and that's how it works. And what I think I found, Christian, is people that will do that, they become more effective human beings in various parts of their life, not just in New Skin, but they become more fearless in other things, and they become better, you know, spouses, you know, partners, parents, all those things. Because they develop a skill set, and they've moved through those inhibitors or fear factors that make them a little more lethal human being in everything that they do. And I've watched the transformation happen with person after person after person, where it's like, man, those guys are awesome. You know, and when I met them, they were pretty insecure about who they were and where they were headed. And it's like, man, look at them now. You know, so we all have to do it, and just understand that fear is there for a reason. It's not there to stop you. It's there to help you step it up and up your game more than maybe you wanted to before running into it.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that answer. I couldn't agree more. I mean, being within New Skin for over 2.5 years, the personal growth that I've had and just the changes in my daily mindset, it's amazing. And I remember something that, you know, that Charlie Patterson said, when people are kind of going through struggles or challenges, he's like, well, what would your life be without New Skin? If you pulled New Skin out of your life, what would your life be like? And I often think that. I'm just like, holy crap. Like, I wouldn't have these mentors. I wouldn't be using these incredible products that make me feel and look good. So, yeah, it's so powerful, the personal growth journey. And I've become very close friends with my sponsors and uplines and other sidelines in the business who are just on that same journey. And you connect with them like you've known them for a long, long time, 10, 20 years. And maybe you haven't, known them for very long at all. So let's finish it up, Jeff, if that's okay. One last thing. Is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Well, I guess the question would be is, where do you see yourself in 10 years with this business? And then what are you willing to do to make that happen? Because we all, there's always a price to be paid, right? So 10 years from now, give me a snapshot of what Christian looks like.
No one's asked me this. It's a good question. 10 years, definitely a team elite. Having my own house, no debt, being able to travel the world. We'll travel overseas at least minimum once a year. And just being around my daughter and being healthy and happy. You know what I mean? Being a millionaire and having all the money, that's not my goal. My goal is to have a certain amount of money so I have that ability to have time freedom. Because I still do New Skin part-time. So I still go to a job. I just came home from a job like an hour ago. And it's painful to be in a job when you're around people. And and I had actually, I won't go into the full story, but I had a bit of a hater at work today. I won't go into that, but it's just, and he just fueled me. This little guy, he's just like, oh, you do this and that. And he just fueled me. I took his negativity. I'm just like, okay. But that's where I see myself in 10 years, healthy, happy, being able to travel, debt-free, in my own house. And that's why I started New Skin, to be honest. I saw the vehicle. I'm like, I'm going to do this. It wasn't about all the other things like products and stuff like that. It was just the business vehicle. And that's still the same today.
Well, you share a common mindset with all of us, because I was in your spot at one point where it's like, I've been at the job. And it's like, I've been away from that so long, I have to think back what it was like. But it's like, it's painful. And so use that pain as a motivator. I was doing a presentation the other day to a group of about 100 people, and I just basically told them is this: you know what? Sometimes I hear people say, oh, this business is hard. And my answer is it? You know what's harder? Going to that cubicle of a job every day. You know what's harder? Spending your life out on that freeway, bumper to bumper, with all the other sheep that are going to and from. What's harder is not be able to spend time with the people that you love. What's harder is realizing that the example you're showing for your children is that they're going to take your place on the freeway because you haven't shown them a better way. So don't tell me it's hard. What's hard is giving up on your dreams and settling. That's what's hard. And so that's painful. Use that pain to drive that. And that's what I tell people. We talked about pain and getting through fear. Well, pain and fear kind of are connected. And so use it to your advantage, because life is going to be painful. So use it as a motivator to push us. And to me, that was a great impetus for me, because I thought, you know what? I am just not employable. I can't even believe I have to go to a job. I mean, this is not something that I envisioned myself doing. And so when I saw the vision of the business, I thought, I'm going to do whatever's necessary to have that success so that I can live life on my terms, which is basically what you're describing. And I think that's what we all share. So we're all kind of like each other, really.
Yeah, definitely. So, I love that. Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Okay, let's end it. Yeah, let's end it on that note. I couldn't think of any better way to end it. Thanks so much for coming on, Jeff. I know we had some technical difficulties, but we got there in the end, and I really appreciate your time. I know it's late there. So thank you, Jeff.
All right. Okay, have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye-bye.